Good day to you, the 4th of March 2023, and the importance of having a presence on as many platforms as possible, even though people don't like going on them, it can't be overstressed. We could see a situation where coming up to a European election, a referendum election, or maybe a general election in Ireland this year, 2024, or in Britain, where certain social media platforms will shut down campaigners. That is a very real possibility, very, very real. And so one of the things that I was talking to a person the other day who said, well, I know a man has a platform and he's moving over to one where you have to pay €1 a month. And he says, if people aren't prepared to pay €1 a month to look at me, well, that's not worth bothering with. But I don't agree. People are not inclined to give their credit card details and other stuff to people for €1 a month. And every time you turn on your computer, there's a need there for people looking for money and all that. And so they won't do it. That's where YouTube has the option. The problem with YouTube is not the banning if they have certain policies. It's that they ban you and they won't let you back for a long time. That is the bad part of YouTube. If they had a policy and they just said that's not acceptable, take it away, that'd be all right. But they don't do that. They impose a penalty, and that makes it very difficult. That means if you had an election in 2 weeks' time and they ban someone for 2 weeks, they're off the air for that period. And that is a very, very real danger. That is a very real danger with all of the platforms. It mightn't be YouTube, it could be BitChute, it could be Rumble, it could be anybody else, but it is a very dangerous thing that could happen. I mean, people say it's their platform. Well, I mean, you can go in and buy a newspaper, no matter who owns the platform, you're entitled to buy the newspaper. Well, then they'll probably say, well, you should be contributing to it and there's premium and all of this. So I don't know where you go with that. But in any event, the thing about it is that people should look around all the various platforms that are there and make sure that there's a widespread and a bit of competition. It's only good that there is. Now, in this video here, we have reality bites. Now, when you think of it, about 2010, there was the economic collapse. We were coming out of the economic collapse worldwide. And as the conditions improved a bit, printing money and everything else, a big racket started then about climate change, and they went climate change mad. Now, whether they like it with their climate change or not, folks, the Chinese and the Russians is pay no heed, nor are the Iranians or anybody else. And you are looking at a good chance of Trump being re-elected. And the fact that Trump is likely to get elected, whether he's allowed to run or not, means that there's half the United States totally against all this climate nonsense as well. And there's a lot of people, farmers are protesting all over Europe. You can't believe it. I mean, you won't see it at home, but that's the way it is. So anyway, their reality bites home. I never was against a good environment. I wanted realism and law abidance in the planning process and all of that. But if they don't do it my way, they'll do it the hard way. Meanwhile, you have the situation in Ukraine and in the Middle East. And it looks to me like President Putin and his people and his advisors saw weakness. They saw that the West wasn't interested in military affairs and all that. And we have a situation where the British would run out of ammunition for artillery in about 10 days. They wouldn't have the ammunition. They have no way to make the rounds of ammunition and all of that. They have no factories or anything else. So everything all elections went to woke, goodies, more help for Mammy's new hip, a place, the nursing home to go. Everything went into this and nothing went into the military side, which is important. I'm not saying that I'm against or for Russia. I'm saying that a bit of military strength is no harm in any country. But the problem is that the Western countries have turned the police and the military against its own people. And you have a hate speech bill in Scotland, and JP Rowling came out and she broke the bill, and the police said, oh, well, we not bother, she didn't break it enough, like, you know. But if you were a small fry or some teacher or somebody vulnerable, they would come down on you like a ton of bricks because you wouldn't get the same coverage. So the point about it is they have selective enforcement of these draconian laws they bring in. So what would we have if you didn't have the wars going on and the reality and the threats and the need to mass up big armies. There's armies marching in Romania, in Poland. They're all alerted, are all afraid of their living lives, but they can conscript people and they probably won't go. In America, the attitude of the military, who used to be the backbone of American society, is get your few years done and get out. Nobody new is joining them. Certain things happened. They were sent home for not taking substances and all this, and they're disgusted. So there's not the will to fight anymore. And that's the reality of our biddies of ones vote. He's nice now. He's green. Master, he has a boyfriend, and he kissed him and all this. They don't see that by not being responsible, by not having politicians who take responsibility for everything, that's security and everything, and migration and all of that, that they are weakening their own stance. And now we have the situation where they finally wake up and they look round. Oh my God, they're talking about conscripting people in England. They won't go. They're talking about getting a war going. They have no factories, they have no ammunition, they have no nothing, no guns, no anything. And they've dumbed down the people. They've banned the ownership of firearms anywhere they can. So that people just said, well, all right, stuff it. And that's how the reality is biting. That's how the reality is biting. Whether we can fight it back or not, I don't know. In Ireland, the Fine Gael party's in poor condition. Fianna Fáil is in poor condition. Labour's as good as finished. I don't see who's going to come up there. Sinn Féin will have a bit. There'll be a bit of the lefties. But the bottom line is, I have said it time again, the left politics doesn't work. Woke cultural Marxist communism does not work in any form. The right model for Ireland and Britain is the traditional model where the state looks after the basic services and you let people get on and charge them a bit of tax and let them work to their heart's content. That's the situation. We're totally and utterly a nanny state. Every piece of legislation, if the ones in Scotland bring in something, the Irish, we'll do that as well. The ones in England want it, and this nannyism is being pushed on big lumps of hard-working men, and the hard-working men have girlfriends, and they want to see their children growing up in a nice society, and they see the woke brigade, and they don't want it. They'll not participate in that society. You're the teachers. They cannot get teachers in the Republic of Ireland. They cannot get them to stay. There's a huge shortfall. Why? Because nobody's going to join when you're going to be forced to do things that you have no way of predicting. For now, you might have to call a boy her. Next week, you might have to call a girl him. But then you might have to be stopped bringing in your meat sandwiches for a bit of food during the day. You might be told you must eat your lunch in front of the kids and you must eat worms. So you'll have to go down to the fishing shop, get your worms, give them a bit of a wash and eat them. So nobody knows what crazy stuff they might bring in. They could bring in a rule that you have to live near your school. So you might have a house. You might live, let's say, in Navan in County Meath. You might get a job teaching in, let's say, in Drogheda. You drive over and back every day. They'll say, no, you can't do that. Or if you do it, you must have an electric car. And they'll put such conditions of your employment that it'll not be possible to be employed. And if you take judicial reviews, it's hugely expensive. It's 40,000 to go to the High Court for a judicial review. And the government will weaponize the law, just as the same as the Americans weaponize the dollar. And the whole world, 80%, is flooding to get rid of this, to stop this. They're building up a BRICS, which is the very same as the start-up of the EU. I remember when the EU was fledgling, when it was starting up. What's been done with the BRICS countries now is the same. And Israel is after bombing and killing a good few key Arab supporting people in the war over there, and it's a war crime what they did. They attacked an embassy, and if the people in it thought the Israelis were going to respect that, they made a big mistake. They're all dead now anyway. But Iran could strike back, but Iran is afraid because it's going to host the next BRICS meeting, and it'll hold the very same as the EU. You hold it for 6 months, and it doesn't want to see that damage. So by 2 years' time, there'll be a good solid BRICS movement that will be a serious threat to the dollar and to the euro, and we'll be left behind. And that's how reality works. When you try to put in a barrier to doing the things that come naturally to people, having a car, having a tractor, doing work and getting stuff done and using fuel and having cheap and decent electricity, when you start pushing in all your old renewable junk and all that and trying to force them to go on electric cars, they vote with their feet, they vote with their pencil in the ballot box, and they vote by not taking your jobs. You soon won't get public servants anywhere, policemen, military, or anybody else. Nobody wants anything to do with them. Nobody wants to be employed, because it used to be, no matter what your politics was in Britain or in Ireland, you could work for the state. You could become a planning official. You could become a surgeon in a national health hospital. You could become a teacher in an Irish school. You could become a policeman or a prison officer in Ireland and keep in criminals, people convicted of murder, sexual assault on young people, gross offences, attacking guards, stabbing guards. You could become a prison officer. Now look what your prison doing. You're keeping in Enoch Burke. You're keeping in Enoch Burke for calling a by him. So who wants such a mad, dirty, rotten job? Who wants it? Nobody wants it. It's like being the hangman in penal Ireland. Nobody wanted the job. And that's the way it is now, and that's the way it's going. We, not only are these governments totally out of touch with the people, but they're out of touch with the people they would like to employ. The big question is there a vote there? Will the Irish people go in and dump them all out, or will they still go, well, me grandfather, he was a Fine Gael man, me God, I'll go again. Will that happen again? I don't know. I don't know. Do you know something? I'm just putting one hat on here. I put this hat on this way. What if they don't? What if they return the whole Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, whole crack? What if they put them all in again? It's quite possible it's going to happen, because in England they're going to return the Labour Party, and you're going to get the Kim Jong-2 won't have a look in with them. Oh, wait till they get going. Wait until they get going. And this is what the demise of an empire is. Sorry, this is what happens when an empire breaks up, and it's breaking up all around us, and we're just seeing the effects. But we could do something. Whether we will do something or not, I don't know. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Reality is one great educator. I'll tell you, they can vote all they like. They think they can go in to the ballot box and vote for great goodies, and vote to kill people abroad and all this. And maybe no voting at all, maybe the whole thing rigged in some countries. So that's the story, folks, and they think they can have the social media on the side. We'll just see how that goes. Good luck. Comment underneath here on this, and we'll see you back for something soon.